Good evening, everybody. What's going on out there, social media land? Welcome to Hot Topics coming live on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon, November the 11th. We're so happy to have you guys on with us on tonight. Hello, everybody. Greetings to every last one of you all. We're excited to be on with you tonight. Do us a favor, like this, share this, tag somebody, let them know that you are getting ready to watch Hot Topics. This show that the only motto we have in Hot Topics is this: if it's hot, we got to touch it. I'm getting ready to do what I've asked you to do, so I want you to just share this. If I can get my phone to work, I don't know, my phone hotspot, nothing seems to be working well. But anyway, we're going to make sure that we are liking and sharing this to everybody. I'm excited about all the stuff we're going to talk about, and I'm also excited because we have all of the gang here. We're all here tonight. So this is going to be a fun show tonight. So I'm going to start with let's see, with the person that's normally not here, the lady that's normally not here. And she's coming to us a little in HD now. She got a little upgrade in technology. All of she was waiting. She was waiting until she got a new camera and all that good stuff. And so we're happy to have Miss Nikisha with us on tonight.
Hey
Say hello to everybody.
everyone. Hello, happy Veterans Day.
And to our other lady, we'll just start with ladies first, aka Lady Austin, the bishop, all that good stuff. Say hello to everybody. She is ready for us tonight. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans. Thank you for joining us.
And last but not least, my the guy that evens out the gender battle, Mr. Beeline McCord. Say hello to everybody.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Glad to be back on tonight. And also, happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. Thank you so much for your sacrifice and your service.
Oh man, so we're gonna talk about veterans in a moment. But hey, let's talk about what everybody has been talking about since last Tuesday. The battle between 45 and the potential 46, Lord, President Donald Trump and and Vice President Joe Biden in the heated contest of president. We finally, at least some have suggested, most in the world suggested that we have a projected winner. That's right, Democratic candidate Joe Biden is your winner. I'm going to start there first. Nikisha, what was the first thing that ran through your mind when you found out Saturday that he had been declared the projected winner? What was the first thing that came to mind?
Finally, it's over. That was my sentiments. It was like finally. It was just dreadful that the state's still taking so long to count, and it was like, oh my God, it was on pins and needles, just waiting for that final announcement. So it was just like I felt refreshed, overwhelmed, and like, well, maybe America is back to, its humanity. So those were all my sentiments and thoughts of finally when, they made the announcement of our president-elect. Put that on quotation.
And gang, we want to get your first words and thoughts as well for those that are watching. What was the first thing that came to mind? So, Kimberly, when you saw that we would potentially have a new president, what was the first thought? You can give us the good version of it. What was the first thought that we have a number 46 now? What was your first thought?
The first thing that came to my mind, I'm a sports fan, so I was like, LeBron James, about time. And then I turned into DJ Metcalf to say, what took you so long? So that was my thought. And then the last thought that came to my mind was elect. Erase that part, Mr. President. So
Wow. All right. Brandon, what was the first thing that came to mind when you saw that?
Well, it was finally time too. It was finally we have a projected winner because this was seemed to be the longest count ever and still is, I guess, technically. And also finally we may get some decency back in the White House. So that was my initial thought.
Wow. I don't know what was the first thing that came to my mind. I think the first thing that came to my mind, because I kind of already felt that I knew that he was going to win. So the first thing that came to my mind is God has delivered us from Egypt. One of the first things that came to my mind was, what in the heck is Trump thinking right now? That was the first thing that came to my mind. Like the staff, like what's going on in the White House right now? Is there furniture moving? Is there glass breaking? Are the people running are they running scared? What is going on in the White House? Because we know that our president, if nothing else, he's known for his temper tantrums. He's known for, as First Lady said, being his age,
petty,
4+5, petty president, number 9, you name it. So that was really what came to my mind. Like, what is it like to work in the White House right now? The staff, the anybody, the cleaning crew, the everybody that's involved in his cabinet. What are they thinking? What is he doing to his wife right now? What like those are some of the things that just came to my mind because I just I saw it coming, and it was just amazing because we talked about this a little bit, but it seems even crazier now that this was the same guy that had declared himself the victor early Wednesday morning, and so they probably all celebrated. He had declared himself the victor that Wednesday morning, and here it is. The electors said no. The supervisors of elections of Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, and even Alaska said not so fast, my friend. And the votes kept coming in, and you saw that lead shrinking, and shrinking, and finally he came to be not the victor that he thought he was going to be, but he did something that we haven't seen since George Bush Sr., a one-term president. One term. What do you think, Brandon, was the tipping point? What do you think was the straw that broke the camel back for most of America? Because still over 70 million voted for him. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. When we saw some states that were normally one way, they begin to turn the other way. What would you think was the straw that broke the camel's back to cause Trump to lose his election?
I think it was two things, but the main thing I believe is the black vote. I think we've seen even before this election that when we decide that we're going to vote and when we go out in the numbers that we should go out in, we make the difference. And I think most people know that. I think a lot of politicians know that. So I think the efforts of, a Stacey Abrams that committed herself even after losing her own election, got people registered to vote, and the athletes and everybody's effort to really get people to vote, especially the Black community. I think that made the difference. We saw some states flip that, we didn't expect. And a lot of it flipped. If you look at it, it was based upon counties that are predominantly Black. And I think that had a lot to do with it. And I think overall, in a general sense, I believe that people just want decency again. I think people, aside from the politics, I think people want a leader who is decent, a leader who can be respected, a leader who they can be proud of. I think people were just tired of his antics and his tweets, and I think people got fed up with it. And even, there's many people who, like myself, aren't a big fan of Joe Biden, but it came down to, we need decency back in the office. We need someone who can be a leader, because Donald Trump has shown he can be that. So for me, I think the Black vote really mattered. And I think people just wanting some level of decency back really had a lot to do with it.
Nikisha, what would you say would be maybe, for you and maybe others that may think like you, the tipping point? I know it was never really up for debate for you, but what do you think for America to show it? As we said, the Black vote was necessary, but we needed a whole lot of other people to have those same sentiments. So what do you think was maybe one thing that might have been the tipping point, like, okay, we can't vote for this guy, or we're not going to vote at all, and so we're going to let it go to Biden? What do you think that was?
In my thoughts, I just think people were just tired of, maybe the lies. You're promising one thing, or you fact checking and lying to fact checking. And I just think people overall just wanted something different. I mean, to go through another 4 years of the antics, the sexism, the racism, I think would have really done us even more doomed than we already endured. So I just think people were just overall tired of it. And I think when certain people, not just Blacks, but others, because if you've seen the parties, the LGB, let me not mess up their name, the white people, a lot of them actually were just celebrating, because it was such a crucial point. If he would have won, how much of them would have been affected. So I just think people were just tired of it, just like, you just sick and tired of being sick and tired. So you know what, I'm with Brandon. I'm not a big fan of Joe Biden. I always said it was the lesser of the two evils. So this particular evil may have some human decency, which we haven't had in the past 4 years.
So Kimberly, we know that all of the news outlets have declared him the victor, but Donald Trump himself still thinks he's the winner. So he has become sour grape, sore loser Donald Trump. How surprising is that to you?
Oh, am I on mute? Oh,
yeah, you're on.
Not surprised at all. To go back to what you said, part of why I'm not surprised is part of what made him the loser, because his mouth. I mean, he straight up talked his way out of an election with his mouth and his rhetoric. I mean, some people know, okay, I'm not the sharpest knife on the shelf, but they don't want you to keep throwing other knives at them to kind of bring light. So he made people feel small. Even the smallest people he made feel small. Whereas I know we keep saying the lesser of the two evils. I mean, it's a way we could say that, because in reality, Biden not really evil at all compared to what we had to deal with. So even if we could not be for a person and not think we really like a person, because no, we're never going to like no candidate. Everybody's never going to like any candidate. That's expected. That's to be understood. But him declaring himself the winner and not accepting it, he told us everything he did, everything he said, it came to pass. He said Don't mail in your votes because this gonna happen. So his people listened to him. They did what he said. He said a whole bunch of other stuff was gonna happen, and it happened. And now that everything you said happened, now you're upset. And that's because he spent so much of his time talking to one base. He took for granted that other people on the other side actually got a little bit of common sense. So you promoted your base in an effort to suppress votes and suppress people and make them feel belittled. And at some point, some people just say enough is enough, and they begin to realize, hey, we deserve better. We're worth more than this. And people just rose up to that point where they start to kind of understand and see they worth. And that's pretty much what got him up out of there. And now he can't accept everything. He can't accept the path that he laid out. He can't accept it enough to walk it and get on out of there.
So Brandon, and you talked about this, and guys, like this, share this. Make sure you tag somebody, a young adult, somebody. We want to hear from you as well. But Brandon, you talked about the hypocrisy of even the post-election Trump and some of the Republicans and Trump supporters. In some states, they were saying stop the count. In other states like Arizona and Nevada, they were saying keep counting. Right. What do you say about just the hypocrisy of the post-election results?
I mean, it's not surprising because they showed their hand before. The thing is about this is that, and I said this on my social media, that Trump, this doesn't surprise me at all. Trump had already put this ball on the tee months ago. This was always going to be his out. If he did not win, he already had his excuse. Months ago, he started talking about how the election was going to be fraud, how the mail-in votes were going to be a problem. So he already had his out. He already he set it up to where when he lost, he had his excuse, he had his out. So that didn't surprise me at all. I expected it. As far as the hypocrisy, when as I looked at it and I started to see what the outrage was in different areas, it was like stop the count. Some states they wanted to stop the count. Some states they wanted to keep counting. So I'm like, what is it that you want? You know what I'm saying? You want us to stop counting? You want us to keep counting? So what that revealed to me was that they didn't want accuracy. They just wanted favorable results. They didn't want accuracy. It had nothing to do with accuracy. It had everything to do with what do we have to do to get the results that we want? Because that's the only way you can explain where here we want them to stop counting and here we want them to keep counting. You don't want accuracy. Okay, that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for results that favor them. And that is what this is all about. So I knew he was going to make a mockery out of this if he didn't win. My question is, would he have had suspicion that there was some kind of fraud had he won? Was it just, and that's my question to his supporters too, is it just the fact that he lost that makes you want to recount, that makes you want, some kind of investigate? Is that the only reason? If that's the only reason, I need you to show me some evidence. And we haven't seen that evidence yet.
You have to ask yourself that question? That's answer obvious. I mean, the way he carried on prior to the voting, he didn't care. It was just about his results. That's why he was rallying in the middle of a pandemic, trying to tell people it ain't real, hosting stuff where people dying, and got mad when they didn't want to let his party come and throw rallies, because who he is, he's shown for 4 years. Nothing about him now has changed. Everything he did was based about his result. He even told y'all after he allegedly had corona, I had to do it. Again, letting y'all know this was about me. Nothing that he done in 4 years was about nobody, barely his children. He just accepted them and anybody else. Everything he did was about him. So that's not even a question.
Did she say Lakeisha, did she say he barely accepted his children? That went over my head.
I didn't say that. I said he barely made things about him. He included him.
That's not what I heard, Lakeisha. I heard he barely accepted.
I didn't hear that. I thought you said he barely.
I'm just saying he did everything. To Brandon's point, it's not a question. It was about him. Yeah,
they don't want accuracy. They don't want accuracy. They want favorable results. And the thing is, we haven't seen any evidence of it yet. We haven't seen any evidence of voter fraud. Okay.
Child, I can talk about that evidence.
I saw some report that suggested that there maybe have been some voter fraud on the other side.
You saw that too?
They really want to be careful about lifting these stones up as far as what might be under it. But also, the thing is that, as you know, there's always a tweet. That's like the new thing. There's always a tweet. There's always a tweet from this guy. There's a tweet from the last election where he basically said something to the effect of that Hillary should learn how to lose with some dignity. Right?
Absolutely.
And it's like, dude, just go back and read your own tweets. Okay.
No.
Go back and read your own tweets, and you might be better off. And also, if the Democratic Party was gonna cheat like this so widespread, like they're saying, how did Mitch McConnell get his seat back? How did Lindsey Graham win? Okay.
Lindsey Graham, yeah.
We need to get out if we're gonna
right. It's as if we're only gonna cheat. If you're gonna cheat, you're gonna be a good cheat. And there were some people that you could have got out. But the thing about it is, here's the thing. Even in Georgia, they didn't. If that was the case in Georgia, they didn't cheat all the way, because now it's 2 seats in Georgia that's a runoff, which goes with the voting pattern. More Democrats voted, therefore, they voted enough to where. Because if you're gonna cheat, like you said, you're gonna make sure you get the seats as well.
But the problem is, half of him and his cabinet is dyslexic, because what they're saying is they're reading the scenario backwards. They're saying that's how they can prove that everybody was cheating, because so many they're not worried about the two that's still fighting. They said in most cases, so many Republicans won that's their proof that it's cheap. So they got a dyslexic way of thinking backwards. They don't think like the rest of America. So again, that go back to what Brandon's saying. If it don't favor him, his people even think like him. If it don't favor him, then there must be a problem. They're not coming out to applaud the rest of the Republicans to say, man, we stood together as a party. It's only about him. Not saying go back and recount all these other votes and think that if you recount some of them votes, some of them might lose their seat from them dead people that y'all say voted.
There's an easy answer for why some Republicans won and he didn't. Well, there's some Republicans that were not going to vote for Donald Trump. But
right.
We're going to support their party in other races and in other seats and stuff. So that's the easy answer for that. That we know that there's some Republicans that refuse to vote for Donald Trump. So if that's the proof they got, then they are under a rock. They don't have any clue what's going on, because we know that there's some Republicans that switch party lines for the presidential race.
Well, here go the thing, and Pastor said this weeks ago. This is again how people can accept they slow, but they don't want you to say they slow. He said weeks ago with Stacey Abrams and all of them, Democrats was out there pushing voters registration. Republicans was never worried about that. So if I'm a Democrat and I'm pushing voters registration, I'm going to register my party. So most of these votes, if we do our statistics, came from new voters. So while y'all was doing those statistics, y'all didn't want to admit or acknowledge that these people are being pushed to vote. And then we've been sitting here talking for weeks about people that never voted and that came out and voted. That was the sign on the wall. But he was never worried about that, because in his mind, he was already thinking, I'm going to have enough. Are the people that's voting for me going to cheat enough? So that's where the cheating came from. It's just reversed, and it just didn't work in his favor. So that's what they underestimated.
So Nikisha, it's common practice. You know, we experienced this the last real major recount. You know, I'm old enough to remember Al Gore in Florida when we was counting the Chads. You know, where there was a whole punch all the way through, and you know that was a legitimate recount. But after the smoke cleared, Al Gore conceded to President Bush, even though he knew that Bush's brother was the governor of Florida and he probably had a little help. Al Gore still ended up conceding to President Bush. We haven't seen that from our current president, even though everybody suggests that it doesn't matter even if the number changed. The gap is too wide for him to win this election, and he is not. He's still touting cheating without any evidence. And the question is this a good look for his legacy? Not willing to bow down. What do you think is going to happen to Trump's legacy after this? Bush, even though he was one term, he bowed down to Clinton. What is going to be Trump's legacy after this, you think?
What legacy? I'm sorry.
You letting the bishop rub off on you too much.
I didn't say nothing. I'm waiting.
I don't know what legacy. I mean, I don't have no answer for that question because I don't think it's a legacy that he's trying to leave. I just think, I don't know, Pastor. You have to go to somebody else because there's no legacy for me. It really isn't.
Well, I mean, just what does that say about even at this is it, Brandon? We're even at the point where other Republicans are saying, "Okay, it's time for us to move forward," and he is now spending our tax dollars on pursuing these probably unsubstantiated, unsuccessful lawsuits. He's not giving the transitional team the data that they need, the briefings that they need. And so he's creating a S-storm in government, all because he doesn't want to accept the fact that he lost. Like, what does that say about him and for those who support him?
I think when you talk about legacy, it really just depends on who you ask. His supporters probably think that this strengthens his legacy because he's standing up to the system, and he's not going down without a fight. That's probably what they think. But many of those people probably wouldn't mind if he was president for another 10 years. So I think for them, they may like it. For us, I think his legacy is that he's probably the worst president we've had in this country. Now, I've only been around for a few of them, but I feel pretty secure saying that. So,
in modern history, at least in modern history.
Yeah, I think it just adds to that it's more about him winning than it is about progressing the country.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. It's more about him winning than it is progressing the country. And that's the sad thing. So I'm not shocked because we know this about him already. We know this about him already, and we know that this is what he's about. I think it's sad. I think that he should, be putting his effort to, making this transition if he really cares about the country, like he says. But I don't think that's the case. What's crazy is that he's asking for more monetary support from his supporters for these lawsuits and for these things, and judges are slapping these things down. They're like, no, there's nothing here. They're just getting rid of it.
Yeah.
So, if anybody's out there giving toward that mess, I got some better things that you can give toward that that are actually, something that actually matters, something that actually is, has some traction. So I'm not surprised, he's
Maybe
a mess.
We need to go hit them up, man. We need to go get that cheating lip and hit them up for Zion because they looking for some tax write-off. I got a better one for you.
Yeah, man. So it's sad, really, that he's making it what it is without evidence. And listen, if there is cheating going on in this election, then it should be handled. Okay, and it should be looked at. It should be investigated. I'm not going to sit here and say that because I don't want a man that we should just allow cheating. If there is cheating, it should be handled. But clearly, there has been no evidence other than the fact that he lost of any cheating.
Listen, I believe he writing his legacy, and when it's all said and done, he's gonna tell y'all his legacy is going to be lost the best ever. Biggest debt ever. I was the most popular loser twice ever. Nobody ever lost like me ever. I'm the greatest to ever lose, and I'll probably lose again in 4 years ever. His legacy is gonna have ever attached to it. When he write that book, and when he tell his legacy is gonna tell biggest loser ever, fired by everybody, best ever. So that's gonna be his legacy. Whether his supporters want to claim it or not, his legacy is gonna be biggest loser ever. Cause he patented that word ever. And he ran for 4 years, letting y'all know best, greatest ever. So he's gonna leave us with that legacy. Ever. Biggest loser, best to ever do it. Lost the popular vote twice, one term, ever. That's his legacy.
There
She
it
cranking
is.
up, Lakeisha. She cranking up.
Right,
Boy.
I'm just
She
saying.
cranking up.
What's
She's cranking
interesting?
up.
What's interesting
It's
is
always around the halfway
What?
mark
yeah, around the
that we
halfway.
get. Right about the
You asked
halfway
the
warm
mark.
up.
question.
It's,
You have to
it's,
warm up. You know,
it's like a
you have to warm
well.
up.
It's like the
You
engine
know,
gets warmed up,
yeah,
and here we go.
yeah. You have to
Now
warm
the
I
up.
just
show has
need
begun.
somebody. I just need
Listen,
somebody that don't agree with me to say they disagree. That his legacy is gonna be biggest loser
you're gonna
ever.
I
warm.
can't even disagree.
It's like on the
Okay,
golf
thank
course,
you.
man. On the golf course, it's not until you get until about hole 3, 4, 5 that
I'm not.
you really start swinging better. You got to get warmed up.
Suing the most states ever.
Yeah.
There you go. Ever. Thank you.
And
There
we
you
can
go.
finish this.
The name of the
Yes.
book should be ever.
The
Yeah.
greatest comeback ever.
Yeah.
To
All right
lose.
now.
Yes.
To
There you go. Yeah.
The name of the
That's
book.
his legacy.
And you crank it right up with a pastor. See
Thank
what I'm
you.
talking
He's
about?
doing a good
turn
job.
more states blue ever. The most
Ever.
to
Yes. Make America blue again. Yes.
The name of his
I
book
love
should be
it.
Ever. Just title the book Ever.
ever, just ever, yeah, just make.
Just
Hey
Ever.
man, we can write
That's
this book
right.
right now, man. You know, we got
Ever.
Yeah.
T-shirts for it. We
Let's
can write
get
this book
paid.
right now, man. Put that
Come on, Boa
put that shirt
Apparel.
on Bow Apparel, boy.
What's
Oh,
interesting is that
the Ever collection.
yeah, the Ever collection. It's coming soon. The Ever collection. Everything gonna be $45. Everything
That's
$45.
right.
Better know it.
$45. The Ever collection.
4 plus 5.
The crazy
Oh
thing
God.
is that
So,
the more they count these
oh
votes,
God,
the more they count these
we gonna get kicked off the air. We going to Facebook jail again.
Wow.
Oh,
the
okay.
crazy thing is that the more they count these votes, the bigger his deficit is getting. So I don't
Right,
know.
it's going in the other direction. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Biggest ever.
So Nikisha, he has proven now. Today is Veterans Day. So he's proven that he's worked harder to become the president than being the president, because he has been vocally absent today on Veterans Day. He has not, up until 7:33, made any public statements about Veterans Day. He did his solemn wreath, and this was the look on his face when he did it today. But he has not addressed the veterans. The
He hates
president
us
who's
right
so
now.
pro the troops, Nikisha, he hasn't said anything about Veterans Day. What does that say again about his character? Everybody he's pro this and pro that. He's not even being president today. He's still the president until January the 20th. And so he's always worked seemingly to me on becoming the president, but he forgot about being the actual president. What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm not surprised. It's like he's a big kid. It is not going his way, so I'm going to shut down and shut out until y'all give me what I want. So he probably in the bunker, pouting his lip, having a whole fit, waiting for something to come his way. I think it's very disrespectful that he's not even coming out to say something. Every president, win or lose, has always come out to say something. I'm not surprised, because he did make a mockery of the veterans in his previous statements before. But because you are still the president, you should have come out. And even his people, he don't listen to nobody, but somebody, I'm quite sure somebody's even encouraged him to say, hey, you need to make a public statement, do something. But I'm really not surprised. I just think it's distasteful. It's disgusting. These people still fighting for our country of the free, and you don't even have the human decency to even address them. So I'm not surprised. I think it's very distasteful. I'm grateful that we do have someone that has a little more common sense than he does, and that will, represent us the way we should be. So that's my sentiments on that.
Again, he hasn't been vocal. He did, the wreath. but he hasn't said anything. As the commander-in-chief of the veterans, he did more of a memorial. It's like it was Memorial Day and not Veterans Day. Veterans Day is when you speak to the veterans. They're still living. That's the point of Veterans Day, to address your veterans, your people who have served, the ones that are serving. And he hasn't said a mumbling. It's as if, I don't know. What does that say to you, Brandon, as the commander-in-chief?
It seems like he did the bare minimum, is the best way I could describe it. I mean, he did the laying of the wreath. I saw on his Twitter page that there was a little video, 30-second video posted and whatnot. But he does press conferences for everything else and all these events for everything else. He could have, I feel like he probably could have done more. He could have made this day simply about them. And he didn't. There was, after the whole laying of the wreath and the tweet, it was back to ballots and vote and we won and all this stuff. It was like, let me do my bare minimum and let me get back to talking about this election. So, he could have made today more about them. And he's the president. He could have done more. But I mean, I'm never surprised by his failures at this point. I almost expect him to not do enough.
I don't know. He did what's expected of him. To greet the veterans would be a presidential duty. And this man hasn't, he did it prior to, because it led up to him believing I'm making America great again. Now he realized America might be great without me. So he went into depression mode and he really don't have anything I was at peace with Veterans Day without him. I would have been more insulted if he would have spoke, because he's showing us who he really is. Now, if he would have had proof that some of those dead veterans was able to vote for him, then maybe he would have came out and spoke. But he might have thought that some of them so-called dead ballots went the other way. So that might have put him in a whole nother state of depression. We don't know. But I'm just saying, I just don't expect anything presidential from him. I didn't these past 4 years, and I certainly don't think he not trying to leave a legacy that say I was presidential. He's leaving a presidency that says exactly what I just told y'all ever. And that's gonna be the most depressed president ever. That's what he's trying to That's the add-on to his ever book, to show he was depressed. So that's what he want to do, and that's what contribute to it.
Brandon brought up a good point about states being turned blue. And I want to kind of bring this up because I thought it was interesting that two states in particular, Arizona and Georgia, turned blue. And I want to talk about, and it was because of two women. One is Stacey Abrams, as Brandon brought out. She worked extremely hard. She pounded the pavement. She did not. She acted for. She was Black America's governor for Georgia, and she turned that state blue. And another woman who happens to be a white woman, Cindy McCain, turned Arizona blue. And we know that her feelings about Trump has always been well known because of the way Trump treated her husband, and the way he treated John McCain came back to bite him in the you-know-what. And so these women were powerful women in their states, and they turned Georgia blue. They turned those states blue, which led to now a female who happens to be an African-American in the White House. And so now, as is to our ladies, we're seeing woman magic, Black woman magic, or woman magic, period. But as two women, what does that say? How does that make you feel to know that women were responsible for making this happen? And now we have a woman that is really an incident away from being commander-in-chief. Well, as women, how does that make you feel?
Oh, I go first. Well, of course, it's a marvelous, wonderful, great feeling. And I said all along, and I think I said it on somebody's post, I don't even think this election was about losing to Biden so much as it was losing to Kamala Harris. I think he's more insulted by that. One, because she's a woman, and two, because she's a black woman. And to me, it's nothing more intimidating to an insecure loser of a person than a strong, educated black woman. That carries so much power. And to underestimate the power that women have in general is already an insult. But then to tag that on to underestimate the power and the strength of a strong, educated black woman, that's even more of an insult and a slap in his face. And the real slap in his face is we ain't even done yet. We ain't even scraped the surface of black girl magic yet. So he might as well go bury himself in them tombs that he went to visit today, because this is just the beginning. He finna be insulted and sad face for a long time to come. That's pretty much my message to him, Mr. President. Stay woke on Sleepy Joe and Kamala, because you ain't even seen nothing yet, Mr. President.
Well, as for
Nikisha,
me,
women in power, women flexing their muscles, if you will, to turn 2 red states blue. 2 women did that in this election, and now we have a woman in power, real power. We know that Michelle Obama was the first black woman to occupy the White House, but now Kamala Harris is the first woman to have power in the White House. As a woman, how does that make you feel?
I feel ecstatic. Like it's a feeling that allows you to say, I can be whatever I want to be. Somebody's literally set the pay for me and my girls if they chose to. For me as a black woman, even what I'm doing now just gives me even more empowerment that if I want to go up to the next level of where I'm at, I can do it because I see other black women doing it, or just a woman in general. We are so underestimated in what we can do, even with the pays being different from us. This just literally is something that history just cannot take away from us. So I'm so fortunate to actually live through this and see it and teach my girls. Thank God it's just 2. Teach them and empower them and show them that this is something you can do. You can be whatever. If you want to be the president, because I'm quite sure, give us a few more years, it's going to be a woman president. We've made so many changes throughout the years. Our first black president, our first black VP. So, I mean, the sky's the limit for us. So I'm just excited to live through it, be able to talk about it. I'm ready for the history books. I'm ready for the other books, because we have said something that I probably nobody would never think we would have done. So it's just a proud moment to be black, to be a woman, just to be able to live through this. I think it's amazing.
So Brandon, you and your lovely wife Jasmika the other day did an impromptu um show for children entitled Anything Is Possible, and you highlighted specifically Kamala Harris for making history, and you highlighted HBCUs and how a woman of color that went to a historical black college university has made history and what that has done to all those that are in HBCUs, graduated for HBCUs, or thinking about going to HBCUs. So what do you think that this move has done for black colleges and universities and for women in general?
I think, first off, as far as for black colleges and universities, I think there's a shift happening. For so long, a lot of people in and outside of the black community kind of looked at black colleges as less than, and this is in conversation I've had with my wife as well, who went to Spelman College. And so a lot of people see it as less than, or, they don't prepare you for the real world. They don't prepare you for success. It's like, oh, if you can't get into the PWIs, then you got to settle for the black schools. And that can be further away from the truth. And I think we're starting to see that in so many different arenas. In politics now with Kamala, we're seeing that not only do they prepare you for the real world, not only do they prepare you for success, but they prepare you to be the best at what you're doing. They really can prepare you to be the best in whatever field. you know, obviously I'm a sports fan. So even in the sports arena, we see that a lot of our big time athletes, they end up going to PWIs, the Alabamas, the Clemsons, UM. And, you know, the conversation has been for a long time. What if our Black athletes went to Black schools? How would that turn? You know, how much money would that generate for our Black schools? How much notoriety would our Black schools get? And we're starting to see that happening. We're starting to see some of the basketball players are committing to HBCUs. We saw that Deion Sanders is now the head coach at Jackson State. His son decommitted from where he was going, and now he's going to play for him there. So we're starting to see the HBCUs are getting on the map. We're starting to see that there's a lot more respect, you know, for HBCUs, and that's not just in politics, but I'm talking about in medicine and all, you know, on so many different levels. And you know, Jazz is a proud product of HBCU, and she's on her own path to greatness in the medical field. So we're just seeing so many examples of how great HBCUs are, and how they really do prepare you, you know, for success and the real world.
I too
You
married.
said something.
No, I was
said
gonna say I
something
too
interesting.
married HBCU grad, Alabama State. Go Hornets. So you know she did a few things great in her life. I would say I would hope being with me is the top on the top of her list. Is probably not. But so
Raise
you
the
know
bar.
Kimberly as well.
It's the best ever.
Best ever. That's right. I'm the best ever. Yeah. What as an HBCU grad, what does that say about, you know, how people need to look at those who go to HBCUs?
Listen, I want to say this before I say that. While Brandon talking about Black women in medicine, Biden already coming in, and I'm glad that he's committed to sticking to Black power, our women, period. Because one of the people on the verge of I don't know her name, of the getting the medicine to help with COVID. She's a sister. She's the co-chair of the over the COVID. It says to me, it says a whole lot. I just hope that people are ready, because it just says we need to raise the ceiling on our thinking. And as we see Black women and Black women of color and brown girls of color come in and start to do stuff, it's gonna really raise the ceiling. And I just hope that people are ready to give Joe Biden a chance, because some people are going to tune him out anyway. Some of the feminists are going to tune him out anyway. And I think it's important that we show up in Black girls, because Black men have been put down for so much. And, you know, I hate to say this. I don't hate to say this. I'm proud to say this. Behind every strong man is a strong woman. And that starts like from a mother. That's from a motherly perspective, or from a push him, you got this perspective. Barack Obama tell it all the time. He couldn't have been what he was without Michelle Obama. You know, so he publicly says that, and that speaks volumes within. I can't even get my thoughts together. That speaks volumes within itself about the power of a Black woman. Most Black men, when they think about where they came from and what they did and how they got there, kudos to the daddy if he was there, but it instantly goes back to their mother. You got athletes that accomplished so much, they tell you the real MVP is their mother. So Black women and women in general have had so much power, and I think this just opened the doors for Black women and women to utilize our power. And I just thank God for Joe Biden, who's willing to give a woman a shot. Now, when we could just get equal on that playing field with that pay, y'all look out. It's gonna be real dangerous.
I know, because I need some women to start paying some mortgages, man. Pay them, man. Pay them.
Go ahead, Brandon.
I wanted to add, Nikita, you can go if you want. I just wanted to add something.
Go ahead, Brandon.
So I just saw today that Morris Brown is actually on track to get their accreditation back.
Okay.
Good.
Which had been something that I had kind of been following for the last few years. But anyway, I think specifically in the Black community, we have to really begin to value our HBCUs more. I think when it comes to where we're going to send our kids and just what we are exposing our kids to, like we are so enamored by Alabama and Clemson and Harvard and Princeton and UM and University of Florida and Florida State. Like we're like you get an acceptance from there, and it's like, oh my god, like we can make the HBCUs great again. By sending our talented kids there, by sending our talented athletes there. And I think it's up to us to resurrect it, especially right now while they're getting so much notoriety. So, the power is in us. We see what it can produce, and I think we have to start supporting those schools.
And that starts, as you say that, as a pastor, I think that can start within the churches. I think the churches, we have a phenomenal college ministry, but we have to create pipelines with the HBCUs so that we can develop relationships with them and begin to make investments in them through sending our kids there, through raising dollars. And so, this is a good opportunity for a lot of Black churches, Black pastors, to create these pipelines so they can begin to use our churches as quote unquote recruiting grounds to let our students know that, hey, go with the tours and the college tours. They're phenomenal college tours. I think of King Tours, who does a phenomenal job in college tours. But I think churches need to create a better pipeline with the HBCUs. And as you said, another T-shirt, boy, Perry, y'all gonna get rich on this show tonight. Make HBCUs great again. And I think we can do that by developing that system to where we will know Black coaches as well, as you're stating. We have some of the greatest talent in Dade and Broward County in the world. We have, I think, our counties between Dade and Broward have the most players in the NFL. If we're not the top, I guarantee you we're in the top 5 in the NFL. So we're creating the talent. And if we would just diverse that talent into the HBCUs, we know that the cameras are going to go where the talent is. It doesn't matter where you go to school. If you're talented, the cameras will follow. And so we have to embrace the fact that we really do have the power to make this change. And what we've seen politically can play out in all facets of life. I really do believe that.
Keisha was trying to say something.
What I was going to say is hit all the, I don't know, I'm getting feedback. I was going to say, I think this also changed the shift with the narrative of the angry Black woman. Now that you see more Black women and brown girls at the front line, you realize that we're educated, we're strong-minded, we're passionate about our jobs. So I think the more we step out and branch out, people will give that narrative or that stigma away that we're not angry Black women, but we are educated, we're strong, we're beautiful, and we literally use our education to step our stepping stone. So I think that narrative in general will start to fade away as well.
They're loud. They're just not angry. They're just loud. I think we should create that. I think that's another shirt. Loud but not angry. That'll be a good shirt. Loud but not. I think that's a shirt that we could. I think Brandon, we could create that. I think if we create that, that could be a Black female #1 bestseller. Because I think for white America, a Black sister could be just as calm as she could be, but she gonna have some volume. And listen, to Nikisha's point, we have to dispel that myth.
James Brown said, "Say it loud. I'm Black and I'm proud." And the sister's been holding on to that ever since. So don't come for us.
Everything you say is loud.
Say it loud.
But speaking of pastors, and I'm one, this week has been an interesting week for certain pastors in their pulpit. This happened on Tuesday, and as pastors will begin to formulate sermons about Sunday, maybe about the election, there were some pastors that kind of used their pulpits to do something a little different. I want you to check out one of these sisters.
We break
You know,
and
this
divide
we've
every
heard.
demonic confederacy against the election, against America, against that who you have declared to be in the White House. We break it up in the name of Jesus. We lose confusion into every demonic confederacy directed right now at this election, directed specifically at the 6 states. We come against people that are working at high levels right now with demonic confederacies and secrecies and demonic plans and networks. We break it up and we command that it be exposed right now in the name of Jesus. Strike and strike. The angels have even been dispatched from Africa right now. Africa right now. Africa right now. From Africa right now. They're coming here. They're coming here. In the name of Jesus. From South America. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. From Africa. From South America. Angelic forces. Angelic reinforcement. Angelic reinforcement. Angelic reinforcement. Pika hata anda ata. Ora bata rata anda eke manda rasata. For I hear the sound of victory. 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 I hear the sound.
Well, you heard it. The sound of victory was heard in church. And to give Paula White and where she is at Destiny Church, it was pastored by a black man named Zachary Timms. It was a predominantly black church. Upon his passing, she, I'll say it, really hoodwinked her way to this church. And so she's pastoring a predominantly white church, black church, and she hasn't made any bones about her relationship with Donald Trump. And she used her platform and her pulpit to pray this prayer for our beloved president, not for democracy, but just for our beloved president, to the point where, granted, she began to dispatch some angels from Africa to come. And I think she was on to something, but I think the angels landed in Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. I think
what she called them for.
I think that's
called
what
the
happened.
people.
So
Yeah.
she called them in, and when she called them in, the black votes came out of nowhere.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
So what? I
Shondo.
mean, what? Now, I'm not a tongue interpreter. I'm not sure what where she went with that, but it was a service. I don't know who the guy is that was walking back. I don't know what his assignment was. I don't know what he was doing, but
He was
we have church all the time. We pray and we do, but have you seen it on this level? I'm gonna ask the preacher first.
I'm gonna mute
my thing. This level here. What you got to say, man?
I'm gonna try to make this fun. But when I saw this, I laughed really initially, because one, I know Paula's history. We've seen anyone that has followed her ministry, and me and my mom actually met her some years ago at a conference in Orlando. I actually have a picture with her in my phone if I find it. But we've seen her history. We've seen kind of over the years what she's been about. Okay, she has made no bones about the fact that she's how much she loves President Trump, right? And
not Republican. She just got a love affair for Trump.
Just Trump, right? I think it's been proven that she follows the dollar. And what was interesting about her, I don't know if I should call it a prayer, her chant, I don't know, whatever she was doing. What was interesting about it is I'm trying to figure out why she thought that the angels in Africa was going to help Trump. He could have got, maybe the angels from Europe would have helped them.
Yeah.
I don't know the ones from Africa was going to help them, man. And then I also was trying to figure out, since when was the angels posted up in Africa? I thought the angels came from heaven. I didn't realize that we had an angel base in Africa.
And South America. And
South America. That were just
waiting for her call.
Standing by. They were standing back and standing by, waiting for her to call.
Stand back and stand by.
Yeah,
And that's what Trump was talking about. He was
that
talking
makes
about the angels, not
and
the
then
Proud Boys. He was telling the angels to stand by and stand back. And then Paula prayed for the release. I'm seeing
right.
it, boy. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it come together.
And
It's
listen,
coming together.
I'm not one to question someone's anointing. I'm not one, but I feel like I have a pretty strong discernment, and I just felt like that was all flesh. I felt like her tongues, those were lips, really. Those weren't really tongues. If you ask me. But I didn't feel it. Okay, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel that there was any anointing in it. I thought all of that was her personal belief and her personal wants that she used her pulpit to put out there. I think it, honestly speaking, I think it was disgusting, because she's acting like the election was some kind of warfare going on. And for her, as someone who's supposed to be godly, to be so supportive of this guy who we have seen nothing godly from, for me, it took her further down the drain than she already was. And the crazy thing is, and I'm done with this. The crazy thing is that she basically built her ministry off of the Black community. If we're gonna be honest, very well known.
Right, TD Jakes, coattail.
Yeah, riding TD Jakes, and it was the Black community that she was
I
primarily.
think he dropped it though. He did drop it. He dropped it.
That should have been assigned to us, but so right. for her to have basically been made who she is because of the Black community, and to see what she's doing now, I think it says a lot about her, and she definitely won't be getting any of my support.
Bishop, I think you was able to interpret some of that stuff she was saying. What's your thoughts?
Now you already know I can't say on this show what I said to you, so I'm gonna skip past that part. Okay, I'm just I got
a beat. I think I got a beat button. Go ahead, give it a shot.
No, I'm not even gonna play with it. And the parts that I heard up until now wasn't even that much. I heard more tonight than what I heard. But the only thing I can say is what man meant for evil, God meant for good. Because I don't think she know who she was calling on. Her tongue got twisted and caught up in everything else. Because she talked about the Confederate and the demonic, which means she know them people with them Confederate and Trump flags are demonic. So she was casting them out for the Black people. And she was doing some other stuff. So God was turning all her evil to work around for our good, and she wasn't even specific in her prayer. See, that was her bad, because when you in the spirit, God will make you specific about what you praying about. And because she wasn't specific, God went ahead and turned that thing around, because she called out every state that Biden needed to claim. And in the name of Jesus, God sent them African angels, them Caribbean angels, them Arab angels, and whatever other angels she missed, and we got them both in. So she didn't even know what she was talking about. So the spirit wasn't in there. But we don't need her to interpretate the spirit of God and what God had already ordained. But if she wanted to give us a show, that's her. She gave us a show, and just like Trump, she got the same energy she put out. Okay?
But Nikisha, here's the thing. Now she was fully aware that she got clowned. Like, she was fully aware, and to make matters worse,
because it wasn't spirit. That's what I'm saying.
She had a comeback. I want y'all to hear the comeback she had after the world clowned her. This is crazy.
You have my number. I've got over 6,000 people that got my phone number. You've got my number, all right? You know exactly. I'll be bold enough to say how to call me. Don't be a coward and put something out on the internet when you have my number. Call me. Call me. Because we'll sit up here and I'll have you come here and we'll talk about it. We'll sit here. Don't have me call some things out. You call. Okay, I expect the world to. You guys go ahead.
I just want to say one thing. That same man that was doing all that marching, he knew what she was calling out. So he was on his knees saying, Lord, help this lady, because she don't know what she calling to.
But Nikisha, the sister girl put on her jogging suit and tennis shoes and said, bring it. come for me. And the man on his knees was like, Lord, please don't let these people
But
come
she
for her
don't know
because
what
she
to
can't
talk
fight.
about. Hey,
He praying, Lord, she can't fight. But
Yeah.
she was real thuggish with it. The same
she
pulpit.
was.
And I'm trying to figure out, Brandon, we using the pulpit to bait. We using the pulpit. When do the people in Destiny get a word? Like,
Right.
that's what I'm trying to figure
Right.
out. When do
Just
they get a word? Because I don't remember a time that I've used the pulpit to on this level. I mean, she has a national platform with millions of people that follow her and thousands of people who attend that church. And you put on a jogging suit and tennis shoes and basically pull the. I mean, she might as well been a thug rapper in a video or something. Like,
it was
just
a
come for me.
She
Don't make me
called.
call stuff out. Call me 6,000 people in my phone. I mean, you're right,
I'm
Brandon.
about
Maybe
that
she been
life.
hanging around black belts too long. I don't know,
She
but
ain't called for nobody to come to Jesus. Nobody.
she
Nobody.
felt real froggy in
She
that
was
Yeah.
video,
thuggish.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Even
was
that
thug.
white
That
man
thug.
turned his back on her.
She
He
said,
was
I'm a
praying.
gangster. Y'all tested her gangster.
Right, right.
Listen,
I'm waiting on it.
Miss Betty say she went straight hood. Yeah, that was hood Paula. That was hood Paula. Wanna be thug.
Listen.
She been hanging around y'all blacks too long and she thinks she can fight.
Say she
I
about that
told you
life.
what Paula that was. Remember what I told you about Paula and what she was calling for and everything.
Tell
That's the
everybody
Paula
else.
I told. I'm not gonna
T-
tell everybody that. That ain't everybody business. Paula know. Paula know. That's
Paula.
between her and them demons and them gods that she's serving, honey.
She over there
But
fighting them.
Nikisha, how does and I think in one of the videos, the first one, a trailer
Oh, I
trash
like
Paula.
this
That was
comment.
close
I
to
like
what
that one.
Bishop.
Yes,
That was close to
I
what
hit
Bishop
that.
said.
I hit that. I hit that.
Now she want to produce the show because she. But Nikisha, as a layperson member, if you're watching this online or in church seeing something like this, how would you feel as a parishioner knowing that basically you're just a audience member watching this lady just thug out in church?
If I got any sense, I better put up that finger and walk up out that church. Cause you is playing with God and he gonna serve you notice real soon. I just thought it was crazy. I really thought, if you watch the shows late night when the pastors come on and they selling the water for $100 that's gonna save your life and gonna get you healthy. That's what that reminded me of. You go up to the pastor and they push it down and you automatically heal. Just straight mockery is what it reminded me of. So I feel like with you showing this to millions of people who probably never been saved, never been to church, this may have steered some people the other way because hell, it scared me. I'm just like, what we doing? What we doing?
But the thing about this is not even, she doing all this for another guy, for Trump. She not doing this because somebody did something to her. Now, if somebody did something to me, personally, my members may accept that I'm defending myself. But she's got to do all this because she defending a guy who, once he leave the White House, ain't coming to her defense about nothing.
He ain't got no loyalty to her.
Right. He got no loyalty. He ain't come to church. I was willing to bet that 45 has never been to her church.
Has he been to church?
If he has, it's only because of him being the president. He didn't go there before. He's not going to go there after. So she is literally selling her soul to a devil who ain't even got no job.
I'm willing to bet she the one taught 45 by 2 Corinthians. I'm willing to bet that.
But here's the thing. I'm telling you, politics in the pulpit, because there was another brother
Oh,
Brandon,
please.
he made a sermon out of it. He found a way to make a whole sermon about this thing, and he titled this Laughter. I want you guys to hear this. Remember now, this is church service in some white evangelical America after the election, and he decided that this was a good time to do a little sermon, a little skit, if you will, on laughter. I want you guys to hear this.
Very.
Laughter is a deterrent to pain. Now he said at Johns Hopkins You know what I'm saying? Hopkins University. They have proven it. And they have people that lead in laughter. They lead in laughter. And they'll say, I don't have anything to laugh about. And they'll say, that's all right. You just go ahead. That your physical brain and body cannot tell the difference between a put-on laugh and a real belly laugh. It works. And like I said, a merry heart does good like a medicine. So, the joy of the Lord is our strength. So how do we count it all joy? Well, ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha. Ha, 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 ha. The Associated Press said that Joe Biden is president. Ha!
Y'all know what? Good night, everyone.
Preacher, what are we doing, man? Like, what are we? I know we're in the middle of the pandemic and sermon material may be a little low, but
Is it?
what are we doing, man? We the Bible says that laughter is good like medicine. So this is our way that we're gonna deal with the pain of losing our beloved emperor. So we're gonna laugh. Well,
You know, in both of these examples, the source is just funny to me. Like, who is coming from, right? Anybody that knows that guy's name is Kenneth Copeland, a very well-known televangelist. All right.
No, Miss Betty, he ain't retired.
That has, you know, gotten rich off of, you know, the TV stuff and this
Filthy rich.
Yeah, filthy rich. I mean, filthy rich off of you. If you hear some of the stuff he says, it's just crazy. All right. So again, I'm not shocked, but it really is disturbing. You know, that he felt the need to include that in a sermon, and that, like, I don't even know what the point of it was. I don't even know what the message was supposed to be in that. You know, we try to be creative with preaching and make connections with things creatively. That's part of the art of preaching. But I didn't see it there. And maybe I'm biased, and maybe I'm just me knowing who he is. I'm just not receptive to it. But that wasn't it. They might have thought it was, but maybe that was their coping mechanism. I don't know. Maybe that was his coping mechanism. But again, man, this is a guy who, I mean, this guy.
Remember now, this is the same Kenneth Copeland that blew on COVID. Yeah, if y'all remember, he blew COVID.
Yeah,
he blew. It was Kenneth Kenneth Copeland that blew COVID, and since he blew, almost 300,000 people have died. That's how powerful his breath was. But he blew COVID and said, after I breathed on COVID, it's going away. I think that was back in April, March or April. So this the same Kenneth Copeland, you know. And in the book of Acts, the scripture says, "Sirs, we would see Jesus." Like that's what they said. We want to see. So the question is, Bishop, when are we gonna see Jesus in these? I mean, we praying the African angels. We laugh. When are we? Nobody said. We haven't heard. We've listened to almost 5 minutes of sermons or whatever you want to call it. We haven't heard God, Christ, or Jesus yet. So my thing is, are these churches or political rallies? I mean, I don't understand what it is.
Well, first of all, I don't know about you, but I've already seen Jesus. And the Jesus that I don't see, he don't showed up and showed out on my behalf, and he's shown me that he's a God that favors me. He favors me so much, he took and swiped old 45, whether he want to go or not, up out that White House. And the same God that I seen work, he gonna keep working through Joe Biden, and he gonna work enough to watch these other people work their way down in whatever careers that they built up. Because like I've been saying, so many of these people spent all their time and all their lifetime building these careers. All these politicians, all of these preachers, all of these doctors and so-called scientists, only to let this uneducated fool, clown, buffoon come along and swipe all the hard work that they did. Only a fool would sit there and watch somebody that came from nowhere, that came from money, and never with lack of little to no education take you down when you willing to go down with them. So the God that I serve, I don't know about who they calling to, he already working. He worked it out. He's still working it out, and he worked it. He gonna keep on working. And in the words of Ty Tribute, with or without Donald Trump, we gonna be all right. So I don't know what God they serving, but the God I serve is already working.
I want to send this to Kenneth. Can y'all see that?
What is that? A J for jokester? What is that J for?
The words.
Oh, okay.
Jesus Center. Oh, that's a good one. Jesus Center Bible.
This is a Bible. This is a Bible that I use in some of my study, and I even preach from it sometimes. It's Jesus Center Bible.
But it's not going to work. It's just not going to work.
The concept is that no matter what you're preaching, whatever the principles are, it's somehow, some way they should point to Jesus, right? And we're seeing these preachers that not only is it not pointing to Jesus, but is actually pointing in the opposite direction.
It's pointing at Trump. That's what it's doing. It's pointing at Trump. Trump is their God.
Right. And it's troubling. It really is troubling. It really is.
And it's so strange because Biden, every time he come, this man delivered a message for y'all in his coming out speech. He gave y'all a scripture. He gave y'all a hymn. He took America to church, and to show y'all how much demonic is and evil is out there, they still coming with this foolishness days after this man laid out his platform and let y'all know that the God he served is the one that gave it to him, and y'all still standing behind this man holding the Bible, that who held the Bible upside down and done everything he can do to insult church, who ain't never been seen going to church on a Sunday. This man, before he started his day off of the election, he went to show y'all he talking to the Lord. So those of y'all that want to follow him, he's showing y'all the direction he want to go in. Trump ain't showed y'all nothing but the golf course.
And what people have to realize, and I want people to understand this, people have to understand is that these preachers like these two we've seen, this is not about God to them. Okay. Hear me clearly. It is not about God. It's about their politics and their pockets. Okay. They'll come up with these talking points about pro-life and all this stuff. But I don't understand how you can be pro-life about a baby who ain't been born yet, but don't speak up about black people being shot and killed unjustly. So you're not pro-life. Okay. So miss me with that. This is not about God. This is not about Bible. They hide behind these little talking points to make it seem like this is supposed to be godly when it's not about God at all. It's about their personal politics and their in their pocket. It has nothing to do with God. They're stamping it with God, but it ain't really God.
So it's just like they just a bunch of undercover narcissists. You got the head narcissist, and then you got the undercover narcissist. All agendas point back to themselves. And anything that operate like that, God is just not in it. And it don't even have to be about God. It's about common freaking sense. Just common sense. Common sense will tell y'all some of the stuff that's coming out these people's mouths. It just ain't in line with human nature. It's about common sense and compassion. Some of the stuff that they say that comes out of Trump's mouth, from talking about handicapped people to talking about somebody who downgrading, killing people, is good people on both sides, that you could take God all out of that and just ask yourself, am I a decent person? And if your answer is yes, the fact that you can acknowledge you a decent person should tell you you don't want no parts of that foolery.
Yeah, I think, and we're gonna go to our last topic, but I think you said something important. I think that's what, as Brandon alluded to in the beginning of the show, I think all of this has just been about not necessarily good, evil or lesser to evil. It's about just decency, evil versus decency. I think for America, most people just want somebody decent in the White House. There are a lot of people that didn't like George Bush Jr. or Senior, but at least they were decent. They were decent people. Now they called him Dumb W and all that. He was maybe horrible on some of the political stuff, but he was decent. Decent to the point where the Bushes rallied around Obama. The Bushes rallied around Biden. The Bushes don't even want a part of Trump because they realize he's just not a decent human being. So it's going to be amazing how, the presidency is an exclusive club. It's the most exclusive club known to man. It's only been 46 now in the history of the country. And I think, Carter, Bush, Clinton, so it's 4 still living. He will make the 5th. He's not going to be invited to the club. He can't go nowhere with them folks. Yeah. It's Carter, W, Clinton, and Obama. And now Bush will Trump will make the 5th. The 4 of them, they roll together. They roll together, but really 3 of them. They roll together. Carter's a little elderly, but even Carter makes appearances and speaks on things, and he's in his 90s.
Carter might roll out again.
Trump is not going to be invited to this exclusive club, and it's going to make him feel even worse because nobody's going to ask him to speak at a funeral. He's been president. He has not spoken at anybody's funeral. McCain, he didn't speak. John Lewis, he didn't speak. Elijah, he didn't speak. George W., they told him don't come. For the white, they told him don't come. Nobody wants him around to say that he's the president. And that's amazing because when you're sometimes more popular once you leave office than you are because people ask you to speak, they ask you to make appearances. Nobody's going to ask Trump to do anything because they understand that at the core who he is, he's a narcissist. He may get asked to speak at some Klan rallies. He might be the guest speaker there at the Proud Boys convention. But other than that, he's not going to be asked to do anything presidential.
I'm interested to see all the presidents that have left office. They write a letter to the person that's coming in. Welcome in or whatever. I'm interested to see that if the things hold up like they are, if he's going to write that letter, and if he does, what it's going to say.
Forget about the letter. Yeah. Forget about the letter. The outgoing the new president puts the picture of the old president.
That's what I was going to say.
And he never did that with Obama.
Right. So Biden could just put Obama picture.
Right.
I think that's what should happen. I really think that's what should happen.
I think he put Obama picture down in the bunker.
So I think Biden is going to put Obama pictures up and then maybe kick Trump picture down the can, and maybe that'll be for the next person, and maybe the next person after Biden will put Biden picture up. So maybe Trump picture will never make the White.
Who knows?
So I got one last question, Kimberly. People have been fighting for Trump, man. He's got his lawyers. He got Rudy Giuliani. He got a whole lot of people kind of out there fighting Trump Jr. They had their little press conference at the Trump at the Four Seasons parking garage. Oops, wrong Four Seasons. They had theirs in an alley, in the Four Seasons alley. But there's somebody, maybe it's just me, that's been missing. His main guy, the VP. What? He ain't said nothing. I would think that if anybody was fighting, it would be Pence. Pence haven't made a statement, an appearance, nothing. Kimberly, what is that surprising that we haven't heard anything from Pence?
Now you knew you was coming for trouble. You called on me on purpose, okay? Because I've been waiting on that one right there. All right. For those of y'all that don't know, okay, even more pathetic than Pence, than Mr. President Mr. 45 is Pence, okay? Because I've said all along when me and my husband have our discussions, Pence was the least competent opponent that he could have picked, okay? Because Pence was never equipped to challenge this man on nothing. If you Google Mark Pence, he was Mike, okay, whatever, M. Pence, okay, the man. He never accomplished nothing. Most presidents went after some people that was like accomplished. They was a lawyer, they served in a Senate, they did something. This man was just as much as a loser as 45. He ran
was a
2
governor.
times. What?
He was a governor
that was
in
a
Indiana.
loser too. Exactly. He didn't even really want to be a governor. The way he got forced into that, y'all better go Google that too. This man is so low on the totem pole. He's a lawyer, but nobody would never know he's a lawyer. Like y'all know Kamala's a lawyer. She fought these kind of cases. And Mark Pence, when you Google him, his story tell y'all he don't wish nobody will ever want to be a lawyer. It was one of the lowest things he ever did. He talks about this stuff. If y'all Google him, it'll all come up. He was the lowest in his law school class, okay? So this man, he was making it so hard to be somebody, but he could never make it out. He lost 2 times trying to run for something, and out of sympathy, they made him governor, and you don't even hear Indiana standing up for him. You got John McCain, dead citizens that spoke up for McCain. Nobody talks about Pence. This man is just as boring and dumb and dull as 45. That's why he went after him. He dwells in people that are just incompetent as he is, because he even said it already. They asked him 3 years ago, if Mark Pence decide to run for president after you give your seat up, will you support him? Whatever his name, that show how relevant he is, okay? If he decide to run for president after you, will you support him? 45 said, I don't know about that. I have to think about it. I have to see. Yes, because you know he just as incompetent as you. This man 45 has already started boosting all these people up above Mike Pence, because he's looking for his son possibly to run for president before Pence. Hell, he's looking for Ivanka to run before Pence. He's not even interested in this man, and this man was too dumb to see it. I don't even understand. He's not gonna offer no support to 45 because he was supposed to be in Florida this week. Mike Pence, he stayed behind to help with this non-losing battle. And like I said, he even more so of a loser because the type of lawyer he was a contract lawyer, a lawyer that should be able to offer him top understanding of what's going on. But do you think 45 interested? He went to old brown mouth Giuliani to help him. That's who he put over his legal team. When you got a lawyer that's right there that deal with contracts, you got a lawyer that's your vice president, and you keep sticking Giuliani in people's faces, and Giuliani can't even catch his breath, and you keep putting him in an interview. I'm willing to bet that he put Mike Pence in charge of booking the 4 seasons. That's how they got there. That was Mike Pence's job, to book the 4 seasons. That's what I believe Trump trusted him with. And the fact that we in the middle of the pandemic and you put this man, Trump knew from day one. He said, I knew this was coming. I tried to, whatever he said about America, y'all know what he said, and he didn't take leadership. But you as a president, if you really, he knew the pandemic was going to be a fail. So what he did, he put his biggest failure in charge of it, which was Mike Pence. And when all this is over, Trump going to come out with a whole book, and I guarantee y'all who going to be the first person he throw up under that bus about all this pandemic, because he knew what he was doing when he put that man in office, and he knew what he was doing when he put Pence up under there. And that's why he been clinging to Kushner and his daughter now. You never even hear him mention this man's name. You think I call him Mark? Hell, I ain't pick him. I guarantee you Trump call him Mark too. That's probably where I got Mark Pence from. He probably call him Mark too. He don't know that man Trump don't even know that. He gonna say Puerto Rico or
Oh
something.
my God! Please.
But anyway, I'm all that to say, I'm not surprised that man missing. That man been missing for 4 years, and that's why that fly landed on his head, because he was happy to see him. Because he been missing just that long. So that fly landed on his head because he was happy to see him along with the rest of America.
The show over, man. The show over is over.
I'm going to go on mute while the rest of y'all talk.
It's 90 minutes, man. I'm 90 minutes up, man.
Listen, I'm real hot
Oh
over
my
here.
God. I gotta turn my AC up, man. This lady here. I just said I thought the man was missing in action. I ain't think we was gonna get a Wikipedia report. Oh God. Oh God. Oh my goodness. Well, man, I mean, we haven't heard from him though, really. I mean, he hasn't said anything about fighting for maybe he's already looking for his next, something he gonna do next, I guess. Because usually, it's usually a stepping stone to the White House, that's usually how it goes. Al Gore was Al Gore was Bill Clinton's VP. Joe Biden was Obama's VP. And that's, usually you get to at least run for president as a VP. I don't see how Pence is going to be able to run, because if Trump had anything to do with it, I think she's right. I think Junior is going to be the one he pushes. And if he pushes Junior, some of these same people that support him now is going to support him then. So I think the biggest loser ever, and go back to that, out of all this may be Mike Pence, because he got nowhere to go.
Yep.
His political career is shot.
Nobody know his story. You usually know the story about everybody, even their wife, maybe their kid. No, this guy has no story. Donald Trump got the biggest story. He wasn't even a politician. This man has no storyline. So that alone told America.
You keep discounting the fact that he was a governor.
Right, but what's his story as a governor? Even the lady in Michigan can say, I was a governor, they almost kidnapped. Every governor got a story. Somebody can say, it's a story. This guy has no story. He can't even make up a story.
Oh my God. Final remarks, Nikisha. Jesus. Oh God. How do we move forward? We haven't even got a chance to talk about COVID. Nobody's talking about COVID. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. Numbers are skyrocketing. Things are really not. We're gonna talk about the transition plan. He going to his mother, his wife. Oh God. We're gonna talk about the Biden transition plan. Preferably by next hot topic, Trump will start giving the man some information. Because they haven't even released the budget. I think it's a $900 million budget, and they haven't even released the money to the man yet, because Trump doesn't want to play ball. So we got a whole lot of stuff to talk about next week. Give us some closing remarks, Nikisha, to kind of wrap up the show, because Bishop, if we make it on next week, I guess we'll.
Thanks for tuning in. That's all I got tonight.
I'm expecting a notice from Facebook or YouTube or somewhere. I'm expecting that notice to come. Rose Highway Road. Oh my God! Don't get her started. Indiana Rose Highway Road. Oh God! Please don't get her started. This is why she does this, because she got the fans behind her. Just fanning her own. Goodness. Brandon, any closing remarks?
Yeah, I mean, y'all be safe out there. Continue to take precautions and stuff with the COVID stuff going on. I know a lot of people haven't been talking about it, but it's still out there. numbers are still kind of going up. So continue to be safe. Continue to wear your mask, wash your hands, practice good hygiene. And I think everything will be all right. We're getting towards the end of the year. It's been a crazy year, but I want to encourage everybody to finish strong and don't see this year as a loss, but as a learning experience. And let's go into next year strong. So that's all I got.
Well, guys, we try to be a show of education and entertainment. I think you might have got a little more entertainment than education tonight, but we're always glad to have our fans and followers watching. And make sure you tune in every Wednesday at 7. We may be taking a few weeks off during the holidays, especially around Thanksgiving and closer to Christmas. But this show started in the back of our church with young adults, and we decided during the pandemic that we would take it to you. We never thought it would be at this level. And so Bishop has been an added comedic voice to the team. And just think, y'all, she didn't want to be on the show because she didn't have anything to say. But here we are months later. She's now the what is the lady from Atlanta Housewives? Is that Nene Leakes? Is that she's what's her name?
Our leading lady.
Yeah, she is that of our show. Nikisha is like Candace Burgess on the show. So we we do our thing, but we love you guys. I'm with Brandon. Stay safe. Next week we'll talk about transition. We'll talk about what the new America is going to look like under new leadership and how we have to continue to press our case in certain states because there are seats that are in runoffs that are very important to the success of this current administration. But we love you. Stay safe. Stay dry. Somebody said that Tropical Storm Edna may be doing a U-turn and heading back to Florida, to Tampa. So we might get even more rain. So I pray that you live in a community that's not flooded because people have been trying to catch boat rides to go to the store, even get to their car. Love you guys. Be safe. We'll see you next time. Peace.